We're now going to hear from three members of the Barnes Foundation. We're going to hear from Lynn Berkowitz, who's the manager of family programming at Barnes, Steve Brady, who's the director of IT, and Kevin Gross, who is an artist and game designer. And they are going to be talking about an app, actually. So, welcome. It started with a phone call to Dr. Rudis Foster at Drexel University, a game-based learning specialist. We put two teams together, identified Fidel, Dr. Barnes' beloved dog. In 12 months, we hit 16 galleries, and in time for the launch in September of 2014. So the Barnes Foundation is a 90-year-old startup that left the original site in Marion to move to the Philadelphia's Museum District. So moving from there to here, called for a new game plan, starting with a lot of nadas. No volunteers, no programs, no staff dedicated to developing some of the programs, no gallery access, no materials. And so game-based learning strategies took shape to make lots of wishes come true. And it really was with a challenge grant from the Knight Foundation to create a mobile app for families to enjoy the collection in new ways, cause gamification to start to happen at the Barnes Foundation. So to fulfill the grand challenge, this app had to work on site and also as well create a conduit of connectivity to families around the world. And to date, the app has been downloaded in 52 different countries. So some of the needs and wants that we had hoped were changed by working with Drexel University. And that was because of looking at ways that the app can be used also in schools. So This subway sign screams our mutual pride with the project.
So I'm here today representing the Drexel team, but I am a very small piece in a very large puzzle. But to give you guys an idea of the core team, Dr. Rudis Foster and Dr. Jennifer Katz-Contro were the two primary investigators who started talking with the BarnesFoundation to identify the need. We have a brilliant programmer, Bobby Speck, who's going to be here with us today. And I took on the role of the primary artist and designer for the app. Just to give you a sense of the different technologies that we use to make this possible, Unity was the game engine that we used. So think of that as the brains of the operation, all the functionality, the lighting, all that stuff. Autodesk Maya is a 3D application for animation, rendering, 3D modeling. So all of the assets that you see in the game were created with that in the game. For Photoshop, the user interface was Adobe Illustrator. So those are some of the tools that it took to make this happen. Looking back to some considerations and kind of a post-mortem from a Drexel perspective, this was a huge shift in culture for us, right? In academia, we do experimental games. We don't really have a deliverable at the end of the timeline. If something doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we had a very well-defined business need, and we kind of went, oh crap, we got to get this thing done. So for all intents and purposes, we really kind of functioned like a startup. Keeping things in scope, if you think about it, we made 10 games in about 9 months with about 2 full-time employees. So these gray hairs up here, that's why. Technology, both from our perspective, we're using tools that we never used before. Getting the lab space set up from scratch was a huge undertaking. And also, it's worth mentioning that the devices at the BarnesFoundation are iPod touches. Those are the target device, which come with a lot of limitations. So we had to kind of scale back a lot of our visuals, real-time lighting, shadows, all the textures we worked on. We had to optimize as much as we could. And looking down the road, obviously, we have what I would consider a really good beta. We want to see this thing live on, and we kind of evaluating what that's going to take, what we need to get there, and just take this to the next level. Because as you guys saw, it's pretty innovative, it's pretty cool, but really now the sky's the limit. So we're looking forward to seeing what's next.
So as Kevin mentioned, the target device was a limiting factor because it's what we had in 2011, the iPod Touch. The simplest route for us is to take the beautiful visuals that you saw in the full screen video of Kevin's rendering of the galleries and to make a retina version of the game. We had a lot of memory constraints that towards the end of the project, we had a good and bad news situation where we had a beautiful project and product. And what the bad news was that we ran out of memory. So we kept crashing the game, and then there was a discussion back and forth about, well, can't you just buy several dozen new devices to run it on? And we said, no, this is what the funders gave us, this is the project scope, so let's make it work. So we did that, and we focused on making sure it ran on the iPod Touch devices really well. So the first step would be, the very easy step would be to make a retina version where we just import higher resolution versions of Kevin's artwork. One thing that didn't get touched on, because it's kind of a niche part of the game, of the experience, is that we actually introduced augmented reality into this game. So you're actually able to go into the physical galleries using the treasure map and identify works on the wall that you add to your collection within the game. Then you now have access to those to then create an ensemble with much more diverse pieces than what you collected in the game. So it ties together the physical experience and the virtual one. So just to go back into that timeline, in 2011 when the first phone call happened, there was no Oculus Rift, which didn't get introduced until 2012. There was no Google Glass, and we wrapped the app in April and launched it in September. And the HoloLens from Microsoft that everybody's buzzing about isn't even out yet. But we think that we'd really like to take the initial investment we made into the environment, into the technologies that made up the individual sub-games, and be able to repurpose them. Because I feel like a next generation of this experience is actually going to have a lot of the groundwork laid for it already, thanks to everything that Kevin and Bobby and the rest of the team did. So with that, we'll look forward to the future. We'd like to thank very briefly the Knight Foundation and Subaru for the funding that made this possible, as well as the professional support provided by Drexel.